People are like, where are you from? I would say Australia, but they kind of want more than that. When I say I'm Spanish, I can tell them everything about that. But then when I say I'm Tongan, I just could never say more than that. I started climbing when I was 7, I think it was. I loved climbing everywhere around the house all the time.
She would climb trees and pool fences and just anything really. And then she had a bit of a nasty fall, so we had to find safe ways for her to climb.
Mum took me to a climbing gym.
I took her the first time, but then later on, sort of as she really started to enjoy it and wanted to go all the time, I didn't actually take her. It was Tech that took her mostly.
Gabrielle, which was our middle child, was a swimmer, so naturally Angelina was brought up in that sport as well. But she started disliking the whole sport because she reckons it was just boring. When Claudia had enrolled Angie in the climbing gym, I was taking her, a couple of nights a week.
And then I met a bunch of climbers and they took me outdoors and I just kind of started from there.
She didn't have the luxury of top roping a climb and working the climb out. She was leading from the start.
I didn't actually watch her climb probably until 8 months in. So I wanted her to enjoy it without me being there saying, don't do that, or, oh, that's too scary, you shouldn't do that. I just wanted her to not change her mind about it because I had fears of it.
When I was 9, I went to the States. It was my first overseas trip, and I ended up being the youngest to ever send a 31. Like, I've skipped a few grades, different ages, but yeah, I think it was 12 I did the 34, which is currently my highest.
She's got a great support network of climbers. Lee Cossey helping her and watching out for her. It is the next step in her climbing.
Yeah, Angie's a pretty amazing human, really. She's progressed as a climber massively, and a lot of that has been in relative isolation as well.
So we met Angie a few years ago. She was pretty young then, I'm not sure exactly what age, maybe 8 or so. You hear about all these kid crushes out there, but she's going out climbing and she's going outdoors, and just her parents that don't climb that take her out.
I hope she doesn't come up to me one day and say, enough's enough, Dad, I've got my own friends, you stay home. But I'd like to think that, that if I want to go, she'll let me go, so yeah.
When he short rows me or something, I get really frustrated at him and be like, it's not my fault, I was trying. But yeah, it's definitely brought us closer together. I was scrolling through Facebook and I found the Awa video. I saw the name Tonga and I was like, Dad's from Tonga. And straight away I showed him and I was like, did you know there was climbing in Tonga?
Angie was kind of speechless in a way and just was like, this is so cool. This is the coolest place I've seen. And I think that kind of made her want to investigate a bit more into her own culture, into Tech's side of her family. So I think it will actually make their bond stronger.
My mum was born in Tonga. In the late 60s, early 70s, she had moved to Australia with my father, and they had a tobacco farm in North Queensland.
Because my family's very tightly knit, Angie mainly knows her Spanish side of the family.
I've been to Spain heaps of times. I've been involved with her side of the family for my whole life. Dad's side is a bit different. I've never had anything really to do with that side. I haven't really looked into his side at all very much.
My mum's relationship with all her grandkids was fairly strong. I think she'd be super proud, with this trip to Tonga. Who would have thought that climbing would take you back, to where my mum was born.
I can't wait to go to AWA. The footage that I've seen from the place looks amazing. Just going to somewhere that's really, really new is exciting in itself, but we're kind of going to be looking at something that's not been climbed before.
All the goals that she sets for herself are the goals that she sets, and then we help support her by getting her to the places she needs to achieve it.
Her focus has always been on climbing hard. She's wanted to climb hard. She's wanted to, to accomplish a lot by climbing hard. And now as she's getting older, she's realising that it's not just about climbing hard, that there's so much more to it.
Bolting has always been something I've wanted to try, but going to Tonga and having no idea how to do it, I think that's going to be a bit crazy.
It's going to be really interesting to kind of see how Angie adapts her love of climbing and her own kind of sense of aesthetics. My role is going to help her find what she really wants to do and just give her the tools to be able to do it.
Takes a long time.
It does take a long time, yep. Not yet.
That looks pretty safe to me.
Okay, good. You got a lot to learn.
Really cool to see her going out and, into a place that's quite unknown, trying some bolting.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
That's actually pretty awesome. Look at it there. Good depth. Yeah, it's a funny one because it's it certainly it gives to the people who are doing it a lot. And no one can ever go back to that climb and do it again. So there's a lot of responsibility in doing it well. But if you do it, then it's something that a lot of people get to have fun on. So it's a privilege and a responsibility. It's like Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Yeah. We were planning on going out to AWA on the Thursday, but the boat was delayed because of bad weather, so we had to wait a whole another day. And on a short trip, the time pressure starts to build very, very quickly. I was like, oh, come on, let's get going already. We got the boat the next day and things started to go a little more smoothly.
The boat was rocking side to side, and every time a wave would smack into us, the boat would tip, and everyone was really badly seasick, and it was pretty funny. I was just hanging onto the roof because it was the safest spot on the boat. Meanwhile, it's just the Tongans just laying down, having a snooze and watching movies. We made it to AWA and I went out with Lee the next day.
AWA has not got a history of hard climbing, and so I didn't know whether the existing crags would have something that was, a good enough challenge for Angie and myself. We wanted to check out the Tonga area. The big thing for me was finding a cliff that would house several routes and would be practical enough for a lot of people to come and enjoy it.
I had a goal to find a line that inspired me and something that I would be proud of and something I could do before the end of the trip.
Cool, hey?
The first thing I saw was the cave. It's really incredible. It's pretty big and then it comes over to a head wall. Straight away I was thinking about what is possible in that cave.
As soon as we got to the top of the cliff, it became really clear that the main cave wasn't amazing rock. So Angie and I kind of looked at the other side of that big bowl and there was actually a really, really cool sort of steep wall that we thought would be all right to go have a look at. Done. And once, and another time. Fast learner. So the first thing we did was try to find a suitable place to wrap into that big bowl. By suitable, I mean effective. It was basically vertical jungle.
It was a jungle. It was just sticks and bushes and every kind of things that can stab you and poke you. I swear there was better line stabs out down, but Lee was pretty happy with that line.
We knew it wasn't going to be a permanent option, but it got us to the base and we could go and get our eyes and actually feel the base of the cliff. Those first few minutes were just amazing. We knew straight away that this was going to be a cool sector. We're looking up, looking for lines, feeling the holds and things like that. And then off to our left, behind this kind of big curtain of flowstone, we just saw that the base of the cliff kept going. And there's this awesome little cave in there with this amazing little freshwater spring.
Filtered horse poo water.
It was like a whole nother world. It's like an untouched playground of rocks. I started really thinking about what I wanted to do because I had this huge cliff with endless amount of holds and I wanted something harder than what Awa has.
Angie's got a really, really good intuition for finding lines, and when we got to the base of that cliff, it looked like it was a pretty natural thing for her to kind of go, oh, I want to go up there and there and there, and it was awesome. The line she picked out was perfect.
Straight away I saw the line with the least holds and something that looked pretty adventurous and cool.
I think when you look at a route from the ground, you only have a certain amount of information and you make your decisions based on what you can see. When you abseil over it, there's a whole nother creative element to it. You've got to look at what's available, what you can hang on to. Angie did a really good job of working out where she wanted the route to go, but then actually kind of working out the subtleties of that line, the sequences, where you'd clip from, all of that.
You really got to think about where is the easiest spot to clip off, if it's too run out, if they're too close together. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of thinking to do.
It's a lot of work. You're just there on the drill for, half a minute at a time, often in an awkward position, often hanging on a sky hook.
I hate using the sky hook so much. That's Lee's favourite tool. So you hook the sky hook onto one of the pockets or onto a hold and you just hang off it. And Lee just puts it on whatever, just on this crumbly little bit of rock. And then the drill was really heavy. I was always pushy onto it and then just rolling back and then pushy onto it and then rolling back, and then Lee would come down and push me in with his feet. That was really hard for me. Towards the end of that day, I was really struggling. I was so tired. My arms were hurting.
She won't give up or she won't be beaten by that challenge. She just focuses right in on it and just keeps on pushing and keeps on asking her body for more and more.
There's not many female bolters around yet. I think there will be eventually.
Very, very few women kind of get out and bolt things, but it is starting to change. And I think it takes people like Angie who are, adventurous by nature. They don't see these kind of barriers. They haven't been brought up with a strong stigma of how it's meant to be.
I really do hope that it can inspire other girls and women. I will never look at a climb the same, and I'll never look at a rock the same, because I'll constantly have these flashbacks of how hard it is to bolt. So I'd finished bolting and the rest day was the whale swimming. I was so excited for this. I think that was one of the highlights of the trips for sure. The second day, we went to Uncle Final's, which is my dad's uncle. That was extremely special, I think, especially for Dad.
To come back to Tonga now and to visit my uncle and have dinner with him and for them to put on a barbecue with all our cousins, how they just all congregated to his place and cooked this, amazing meal, and that was quite humbling.
An umu is when they cook the vegetables underneath, like a tin and a blanket underground.
Waiting for the umu to do its thing and cook, we all jumped in the back of a truck, went out to one of the guys' little farm lots and climbed a coconut tree. Got a demo from one of the locals on how to climb it. He was straight up there, no worries at all, and he's chopping down coconuts for everyone to drink. It's like, cool. All right, I'm a rock climber. I'll give this a go.
It was going good for the first 5 metres.
He had no idea until he got to the bottom. I was like, what's wrong? Something happened to your chest. And he looked down and he's like, oh.
I don't think I got very good technique.
Spanish to Tongan cultures are very different, definitely. I guess Tongans are more relaxed and just having a great time, and pretty cool how they're both so different but so unique in their own ways.
It meant a lot because it's something Angie's never seen, and it's probably been a long time since Tech's seen that. So to see that and to be welcomed that way is a pretty big thing. Maybe lets him realise that it's always been here.
Well, my mum's journey to Australia ended up bringing a lot of family members over.
She was our connection to Tonga, obviously, and she always used to come back and tell us about it and how much she loved it. And we sort of never came back to experience it with her, but I suppose we came back and sort of did it for her as well.
It was so emotional. They were just saying stuff like how they're so lucky to have me and how they're so proud of me, and I was getting really teary. And yeah, it was really amazing, yeah.
Ange. Hope it goes well.
Thanks, Dad.
I was excited to finally get on my climb, be able to feel my climb and be able to climb what I had created. At the start, there's like this move from a really good positive edge to a gaston that's like way above your head. And that is probably the coolest move, one of the coolest moves on the climb.
Angie picked this really, really proud arete line. It goes up through a series of bulges and then ends in a really, really logical kind of slabby point where the steep climbing ends.
Putting all this blood, sweat and tears into this one route and being able to get the first descent on that was more special than just an on-site.
In terms of difficulty, well, she did it first go, obviously having been pretty familiar with the holds and things like that. She said around about 26. I went up it, got pretty pumped, said maybe 27.
I definitely feel like Angie and Tech have been able to connect with their heritage now.
I'm definitely coming back. I've already discussed it with my parents. I'm coming back sometime next year, hopefully.
Each time she does come back, that connection to her Tongan heritage will become stronger, and I think that's really important.
AWA will definitely be somewhere to never stop coming to.
I think this trip is pretty special. To see the kids running around with no shoes on and a football and on bicycle reminds me when I was growing up.
Hanging out with Tech and Claudia has been really amazing as well. The choices that they make and the way that they prioritise their kids is awesome to see. You know, that's the sort of parent that I would hope to be.
I actually am so grateful that Lee chose to come on this trip.
He's teaching a different part of climbing and how to do it safely and respectfully for the environment, so it's been good for him.
I honestly couldn't thank Lee enough for everything he does. He's so positive and so patient. I couldn't have had a better mentor. I'm Australian. I was brought up in Australia. I was born in Australia. I have an Australian accent, but I have something deeper than that only I know about, which is my sides of mum's family, my sides of dad's family, and I think now I can kind of say I'm Tongan and Spanish and know what to say and be proud of what I'm saying.
I'm just healing some of my flappers on my hands with the skin off my back. I need to find a good spot. Actually, here you go. Yeah. I've got a good piece here.
Okay, show them.
Okay, so we're taking this piece of skin, a little bit of moisture, and then we just place it over the worn section of fingertip, like so. And thus healing flappers. Angie was being very supportive with me doing my project, and in doing so she made a bet that if I didn't do it I had to eat a crab leg, and if I did then she would eat crab's leg. I did my project, and being the good sport she is following through with her own dare.